Hello class, here is our daily agenda video where we're going to have our bell ringer and our morning routine. I know that we're going to have a great day today, and we are going to treat the substitute teacher with lots of respect and make sure that we're completing all of our work. Please don't forget to study for tomorrow's exam. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. Today's bell ringer question is, what is the relative location of the Dairy Supreme in Edinburgh? Go ahead and pause the video now so that you can write down the question and the answer in your bell ringer notebook. Whenever you're finished writing down the question and answer in your notebook, you can come back and unpause the video and continue on with our morning routine. Pause the video now. Today's joke of the day is, why was Phil kicked off the Punxsutawney soccer team? Apparently, Phil was not only a groundhog, he was also a ball hog. That's why he got kicked off the Punxsutawney soccer team. On this day in history, in 1876, the National League, which is the oldest existing Major League Professional Baseball organization in the United States, they began play. In 1913, the Grand Central Train Terminal in New York City opened for the very first time. It took over 10 years to build it, and it cost $4 billion in today's money. It was known for its supreme architecture. And finally, on this day in 1887, the very first Groundhog Day was celebrated at Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney. The tradition of Groundhog Day originates all the way back into Germany, where they said that hedgehogs could prognosticate or predict the weather. That carried over into German settlers who settled in Pennsylvania, but they couldn't find hedgehogs as easy, so they chose to use groundhogs. In the first Groundhog Day, the men who were celebrating Groundhog Day, or starting the tradition, they actually ate the groundhog after they said he predicted the weather, which, that puts a whole new twist on Groundhog's Day. Thankfully, we don't eat the groundhog anymore. For our agenda today, we've got a couple things on tap. We need to make sure that our bell ringer is done. Tomorrow's our last day of bell ringers, and we're going to be turning them in. There is a Cornell Note activity inside of Schoology. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to show you exactly what I want you to do here in just a few minutes. Okay, inside of today's folder, the Thursday folder, you're going to find a couple different activities. You're going to find the practice exam that I talked about, which is what we're going to be doing second today in class. But what I want you to focus on is the Cornell note-taking practice and a geographer's tools. Now, we're going to be using the textbook, which is the very first link in there, and we're going to be reading a couple pages in the textbook. And then we're going to take notes using the Cornell note-taking method in our notebook while we're reading. Now, I want to open this up and just remind you of a couple things. Whenever we take Cornell notes, remember, set up your notebook properly. We went over how to make the sort of weird-looking eye in our notebooks, our headings, our titles, all of those things. Make sure that they're in there and that they are done correctly. Next, we're going to go through and we're going to read that lesson. It's only a few pages. And we're going to summarize and paraphrase important information from the text. Now, if you run across any important vocabulary words, remember, those are the things that we're going to write word for word. I want you to skip spaces in between topics so that your notes look organized. Then, once you're finished, I want you to go through your notes, read them, and see if you can come up with some possible test questions for the recall column on the left-hand side. Lastly, once you're all finished, I want you to write a 2 to 3 sentence summary of the information from your notes. So all of the things that we talked about in class yesterday. But we're going to finish that activity second after our bell ringer. Once we're done with that, I want you to watch the direction video that I made for the practice exam. It's going to make sure that you understand exactly how I want you to complete the practice exam. There's also some directions inside of that assignment in Schoology. We will complete the practice exam, and then you can check your answers on the answer key video that I made and attached inside of Schoology as well. Finally, if we should finish everything up before the end of class, I want you to take the remaining time in class to finish up and submit any missing or late homework assignments. Lastly, here it is, our today's mood chart. Because it's going to get a little colder tonight and into tomorrow, I chose the snowman mood chart. You can think to yourself which snowman best represents your mood today. Hopefully, it's a snowman with a happy face.